Having said that, Conner Harrell, we saw the potential against Campbell, right? Great athlete, got a pretty live arm. And I think it's important for people to understand if you followed Don Callahan's reporting over the past year, I mean, really since spring ball, we knew that North Carolina was going to go in the portal and grab a quarterback. This is not as though Carolina got to the end of the season, they knew Drake had decided to leave, and they said, "Uh-oh, like we're seriously in trouble." It was not the case. That had been the plan all along. Why had that been the plan? Well, there's a lot of young guys behind Drake May, Conner Harrell being kind of the top of the list on the depth chart. And it was a matter of, hey, let's bring in somebody that has a lot of experience, who has done it in games, and let's allow them, that individual, to compete with what we have on the roster. Because we know Conner Harrell has a lot of potential. We also know that he's raw, and he's got to continue to take steps to get better and to step into that starting role. So I agree that Max Johnson is the likely candidate to start next year for North Carolina. However, Conner Harrell is going to have an opportunity to compete for that job. And to your point, Tommy, his first true opportunity to compete for that job is before Mac Johnson is in the competition. And that's in the bowl game tomorrow. And I do think it's important. And the key thing here for Conner Harrell is, what does Chip Lindsey do to set him up for success? If you just put him in the game and say, hey, just do exactly what Drake did, you'll be fine. That could go a lot of different ways. But you have to kind of tailor your package, and you maybe take some things out to make it a lot easier for him, to allow him to have some success. While you are losing a lot of offensive linemen for next year, as Jason said, most of those guys are playing in the bowl game. And you've got a situation where you've got an elite back, Marion Hampton. So take advantage of the run game to set up Conner Harrell for success. So I agree. It's a very important game for him. It's a great opportunity for him. And if he wants to legitimately compete for the starting job next year, that begins tomorrow.
Jason, let's talk about this. And this is sort of game plan section, and we usually go there a little bit later in this. But let me ask you, Greg mentioned Chip Lindsey. You play to win the game, obviously.
Always.
And
well, winning's not enough, but you still.
Well, you play to do what you can. And is that different? Is that game plan different than playing to see what you have in Conner Harrell fully? You understand my question? Do you hand the ball, if Amarian Hampton's going nuts, do you hand the ball to him 50 times to win this ball game, or do you try to do things in your game plan to see what Conner Harrell can do specifically? And remember, bowl games don't matter. We've already decided that, wins and loss wise.
So, yeah, that's a tricky way to frame it. Because, what you're basically getting at is, if Omarion Hampton's running wild, do you just let him run wild and, maybe throw 12 passes or something like that? And I think that is the case, yeah. You play to win the game. He's not out there, even though this is an exhibition game, he's not out there to go out there and lose. He's out there, his paycheck is to go out there and do the best thing he can to help that team win. That said, the way that he's still going to run his offense, the way that he's going to set this up, you're still not going to be able to just turn around. I mean, this North Carolina's offensive line is not Alabama's, right? And Hampton's really good, but you're probably not going to be able to go in. And I think Lindsey would be surprised going in to be able to turn around and hand it off 30 times, throw it 12, 11 times, and win this game just on the strength of that. You're still going to need to run your base offense, which means there's going to be some RPOs in there. It's going to be a handoff, but if they show these numbers, then it's going to be a glance route, or it's going to be a bubble on the outside. There's still going to be some opportunities where, like, okay, well, you're running your offense. They got an extra 2 guys in the box now. You got a one-on-one out there you got to take advantage of. You're still doing that stuff because that's what you have to do to prepare to win. So I do think in your hypothetical, if they go out there and, they play and they're able to just bully a team, they're going to do that. They're going to play bully ball. I mean, they did it with Drake May, right? You got Drake May at quarterback, and there were times where, you're still only throwing it, 22 times or whatever it is, because you're running it for 300 yards. If they can run it for 300 yards against this team, they will. But that still gives a good test to what you got at quarterback, because he's got to make checks. He's got to make sure that the run is going to the proper side against that front. He's got to make sure that, he's flipped this play here because the front's there. He's got to make sure that on this RPO, he reads it correctly. You're going to use his legs in the running game as well to, offset some of the stuff that they're going to try to take away Omarion Hampton. And that's something that in the game plan aspect of things, we're going to, we need to talk about, because Harrell does present an explosive option at as a quarterback runner, which we saw against Campbell. So even if you're just handing it off, none of those handoffs are just handoffs from the quarterback position. He's still having to make decisions on the pre-snap stuff, and then some of the read stuff that you're going to add in there in Lindsey's offense is still going to be there. So it's still a good test of what he brings to the table with the lights on.